Hey everyone, I'm Mecca here, and on this week on Ask a Pro, I'm sitting down with Kevin Tumlinson from Draft to Digital, and today it's all about anything but Amazon. Here we go. Kevin, so happy to have you here, my man. Welcome to the channel.
Hey man, it's good to be here. Thanks for having me.
Awesome. All right, hey, so we were talking a little bit before we officially got started here, but who are you? What's your deal? Like, let's bring into light, how did you get into the whole publishing realm, a bit of your background? I know you've written a ton of books yourself, but just bring us up to speed really quick with kind of your background.
Okay, all right. So I am a best-selling and award-winning thriller author, which is relatively new in my life. I was a sci-fi and fantasy author for a long time.
Oh,
About
nice.
A year ago, I started writing and publishing thrillers, and that's been huge for me. Most of my success, I'd say, has happened in that period. Most of my publishing success. I actually started publishing way back in 2008. I left a traditional contract and went and started digging in and checking out these various, self-publishing opportunities. And it was a different landscape back then, of course, but I did manage to kind of piece together a sort of a publishing platform and just went from there. I mean, I just kept building and building. It took a few years for me to get into kind of a rhythm where, instead of producing a book once every 2 years, I was producing one every month. But once I hit that stride, I solved that puzzle. Suddenly I was doing pretty okay. And then I started my Wordslinger podcast back in 2013, and because of that, I ended up coming to the attention of Draft to Digital, and it's been kind of a marriage made in heaven.
What's your podcast about?
The podcast, so it is essentially it's aimed at the indie publisher, indie author. It's also aimed at entrepreneurs because publishers and authors need to think like entrepreneurs, right?
Right. Yeah.
So I interview practically anyone with a really interesting backstory. I get the behind-the-scenes story of the guest. They may be an author. I've interviewed like Andy Weir and Larry Niven and guys like that. David Brin. I've interviewed some big-name authors, but I've also talked to some guys who, one guy started a program called Never Leave the Playground. He's like a 75-year-old fitness enthusiast. And I talked to
That's
people
awesome.
like that who can bring some new ideas and sort of fresh inspiration to the floor so that authors can take that and learn from it and maybe apply those lessons to their own careers. Things that they probably would never have thought to expose themselves to in the past. So that's kind of it's all about the story here. That's the tagline for the show. And
I like that.
Really what it comes down to is how to craft your life and your career using story.
We were talking about that. That's one of the things that I love about doing the Ask a Pro interview series. I sit down and I get to learn from the best people in the industry, and the stories that you get when you're sitting down and interviewing people.
Right.
It's essentially, this is like reading a book for me. Right. Today I'm reading your book and getting to learn everything about you and your upbringing, so to speak. So that is so cool. What's your role at Draft to Digital? Is it marketing director, if I remember correctly?
Yeah, I'm the director of marketing. I represent the company essentially in venues like this, podcasts and interviews, YouTube. Is relatively new, by the way. YouTube. We're finally starting to kind of get some traction.
Finally getting onto the YouTube
I have a
band.
face for radio.
Yeah.
I also attend conferences on their behalf, and I talk to thousands of authors every day. I mean, it's insane how many people out there are what I call the will-be authors, the people who are determined to get that first book written. But also the more established folks, the people who are actually making not just a living, but a phenomenal living.
Right.
Selling books. Guys like Michael Anderle, killing it out there. Like 6 and 7 figure months. So
yeah.
We're talking to folks like that quite a bit, and we offer And you didn't ask me about Draft Digital, what Draft Digital was yet. So I don't want to step. I don't want to step out.
No worries. We're gonna get there for sure.
I'm enthusiastic. Like I'm taking over. Like I'm gonna start asking you questions.
No, it's good.
About your show.
You know, it's funny because I've been in the publishing world for about just over 14 months or so now. Never in my life would I have imagined that people are making 6 to 7 figures a month from books. You know, whether they're writing them or they're publishing them, but it really is. It shows you there's a way to make money in any, like there's so many ways to make money in 2017, 2018. It's a phenomenal opportunity, phenomenal time that we live on. Whereas like 15, 20 years ago, remember how hard it was for an author to really to get published, to get their voice out, or to make money, right? Like it was, yeah. Draft to digital. Let's talk about what is draft to digital. Like, give us the nutshell. What is it?
In a nutshell, Draft to Digital at its heart is a publishing aggregator, meaning that we'll take your manuscript and we'll disseminate it to the hottest publishers out there, essentially. And that's going to include Amazon in about a week. I don't feel too bad announcing this.
What? This is exclusive here?
Wasn't on the list for a while for various reasons.
Yeah.
I don't know when this show's going to go live, so you may beat everybody to the punch. But
I'm going to now.
So by this time next week, an email will go out, and then so we're doing that. Unless something goes wrong. I mean, things can go wrong.
Yeah.
So we're doing that. We've already got some of the big players. We've got Barnes & Noble. We've got Apple iBooks. We have Kobo. We can distribute your book to marketplaces worldwide. Much bigger reach than what Amazon actually has.
Really?
Itself. Yeah, much bigger.
That's
much bigger.
Wow. All right.
And then, for some people, that's very important. For other people, they like taking advantage of Amazon's resources, and
right.
We're okay with that too. Which is why we have no exclusivity. We have no limits. You own your book. You own all your rights. We are essentially there providing resources that help you make this easy. We're all about making this easy, right?
Right.
We were founded by an author and 2 of his programmer buddies.
Yeah.
Who are now our leadership. They're the author is our president. One of the programmers is our CEO.
Oh wow.
One of the other programmers is like head of development. So these guys are part of the DNA of the shop. And I'm an author. I came in as an author. I was already using Draft to Digital and loving Draft to Digital when they found out that I was out there singing their praises, and they invited me in.
Wow.
So we know the business because we're in the business, right?
That's awesome.
We're constantly building these new tools and resources that we offer for absolutely free to anyone who comes along with no obligations. You can come in, sign up for an account, and use we have an ebook conversion software that will automatically convert your Word document or your RTF file to an ebook.
Okay.
In both Mobi and EPUB.
Yeah.
So you can take those anywhere. They're yours. You can do what you want. Get them out as ARCs, go direct to another vendor, whatever you want to do with it. We have ebook style templates now, which rivals Vellum. Basically,
what are those?
Come in and pick from do you know Vellum?
No, I don't.
Okay. Vellum is it's an ebook and print layout software.
Okay.
It's around $200, and it can only be used on Mac. We found that is essentially out of reach for some authors as they start up, because that's a heavy investment. If you don't already have a Mac, that's $3,500 for a Mac and $200 for the software.
Yep.
And there you go. Well, we offer essentially the exact experience. Maybe not exact.
But
I don't want to compare it too much to Vellum.
What is it though? Like when you say so it helps format the layout of your book so it doesn't look like walls of text.
You can do your ebook layout in conversion and formatting in this tool. You can pick from a variety of templates that we have. So if you want a nice looking header graphic, if you want nice looking little graphics for seam breaks, if you want drop caps, you can do all that stuff.
Really?
All that also translates over to a free print-ready PDF that you can take and you download it, and it's yours to use however you like. So if you want to go to CreateSpace with it, or Ingram Spark, or
Yeah.
either the POD services, you've got your print-ready layout.
So-
These are, no joke, the best I've seen. I mean,
Wow.
I like Vellum and all. I even own Vellum.
Yeah.
I bought it before we added our templates.
So, okay, so I want to make sure I'm getting this clear. So this is a service. One, it's free to use.
Yeah.
And I'll take my Word document that's, a typical ebook will just, it's paragraphs after paragraphs. Right. And this allows me to clean it up, make it more presentable, so it'll stand out from all the other ebooks that are out there. Is that essentially where?
That's essentially it. I mean, you would format your book only in as far as you would use some way to differentiate the chapter. So
Right.
you can use Word's little style sheets, their header,
Yeah.
header 1, header 2. You
Yeah.
can use those, and we'll auto detect all that. Or you can just make the font bigger, or bold, a little bit bigger than the body font. If you
Right.
make it bigger than the body font,
Yeah.
we'll auto detect it. We auto detect seam breaks. If you put a couple of spaces or 3 asterisks or something like that between your scenes, in fiction at least, it'll auto detect that. We have templates for nonfiction. We've got a whole series of these, and
Wow.
those are all free to use. And you still own the book. You can still take it, do whatever you want
Yeah.
with it. The only way we make money, I should get this out of the way.
Yeah, let's talk about it.
Here's how Draft to Digital makes money. We come to your house with a weapon. No, what we do to make money is we take 10% of the royalty for sale on the book
Okay.
when you distribute through us. So if you distribute through us to Amazon, to Barnes & Noble, to Apple,
Right.
And that book sells on those platforms, then we get 10% and you get the rest, right?
Okay.
It works out to, there's about a 15% take between us and the
Yeah.
retailer, but you still end up with, generally 40 to 60%. Sometimes it depends on the retailer as well, but we have all that laid out for you
Right.
on the website. We don't hide anything. So I always look at that as kind of a convenience fee.
Yeah, no, for sure, right?
Before I ever started using Draft to Digital, before I ever started working for them, rather, I used them because I could get to all these different storefronts and have one very nice looking dashboard that tells me my sales, tells me my royalty, breaks everything out for me, so I know exactly how much I'm making. I don't mind popping 10% per copy. That generally works out to like 40 or 50 cents. I mean,
Right. Yeah. No. It's. Oh, that sound like from. I haven't looked at my ebook sales in a while, but I'm pretty sure that's less than the Amazon. Because Amazon, it's $2.99 when you price your book at $2.99, you get paid 70% royalties, so they're taking 30%.
yeah, you can get depending on how you approach it, you can get a 70% royalty on Amazon.
Right.
That's very handy. Now, I think you can only get that 70%. There are a few options, but for the most part, they're trying to get you to be exclusive, which means you can't distribute your book to anyone else,
Right.
anywhere else. You're not even technically allowed to give copies away. Like if you're giving away a copy of a book as an ARC or as a freebie to get someone on your mailing list, you're technically in violation of.
Yeah, their terms of service is a little. Yeah, it's becoming more and more extreme and more ridiculous. If on my personal opinion, that
A lot of people tolerate that because of Amazon's
customer base, or
if you go exclusive to Amazon, you get into their KDP Select program.
Yeah.
You become a recipient of the KDP Select Global Fund.
right.
And you get paid for page reads, and for a lot of authors, that can actually end up being sort of a higher revenue stream than even direct sales. I totally understand that, by the way. I have a strategy that I give to authors that I use myself, which is if you're new, if you're just launching, say you're launching a new genre, or you're just getting into the business. When I flipped from writing sci-fi and fantasy to thrillers, I took the thrillers to KU because I could earn a higher royalty on them for a while, and build my platform. Right. Once I have that platform where I wanted, I'm pulling them and going back to wide. Because the one thing you can count on, and I bet if I were to ask any author this, they would answer, they would tell me, they would confirm this for me. But I truly and honestly believe that nobody got into writing, nobody sat around when they were a kid dreaming about being an author, saying to themselves, I cannot wait until I only sell my books to people who are subscribed to Amazon Kindle Unlimited. I cannot wait.
Right.
That's my life ambition.
Yeah.
To be an Amazon author.
Yeah. No, I hear you on that. It's one of those things. Now, I focus all my books are pretty much nonfiction. So I'm making my money off sales, mostly paperbacks. I do have some students that they're in fiction as well. But yeah, no, the whole Amazon Kindle Unlimited program, it's, whether it was more of a smart business move on their end versus customer experience, it's kind of a toss-up, I think. But hey, when you want to play with Amazon, you're playing by their rules.
Well, this is the thing. We say this all the time. We owe a debt of gratitude to Amazon for the KDP program, for what they built. They essentially built the industry that we are thriving in.
Right.
So it's not like there's a tendency to think of Amazon as the enemy and think of them as evil. The truth is that they've made a lot of this possible for us.
Yeah.
However, just like any good innovation, the idea here isn't, they did us a solid by starting this industry, we better be loyal and stick around. I mean, the idea is, how do we improve upon it? How do we take the next step? How do we evolve this industry? Which is what, there are several aggregator services out there. We're not the only one. We are the best. And I'm not just blowing smoke when I say that. I mean, we own this space.
So,
I mean, there are definitely programs that, offer a little more here and there, but we've been innovating and creating new stuff.
Let's talk about that. What really makes Draft to Digital stand out? So you talked about it's going to platforms all over the world, including Amazon in about a week or so. But what? Okay, so here, talk to me. Why should I take my books off Kindle Unlimited right now, which are nonfiction? So Pages Read, it's not even it's a non-issue. But why do I want to take my books and just go through the extra hassle of creating an account, which I'm sure it's not a hassle, but yeah.
You can take them out of Kindle Unlimited and not have to sacrifice your royalty on Amazon. You can keep your books on Amazon and still go to an aggregator as long as you're not exclusive.
So yeah, why just, okay, so I just look at it, it's, okay, why take the extra step right now? What are some of the advantages I could see going with Draft to Digital right now?
All right, particularly for nonfiction, I think that this is the case. But
yeah.
What you're doing is broadening your market, right?
Okay.
Right now, you are only reaching a very small percentage of a global market. You are only reaching that group because it's only the people who are actually buying their books from Amazon in every part of the globe who are your potential customers. In the U.S., that's a huge number. Not so big once you get outside the U.S. You start seeing, there are only a handful of I think there are like 12 countries now where Amazon has their storefronts. There are countries in the world that don't allow Amazon to have a storefront. So there is that. Reaching a bigger global audience is appealing, particularly to the nonfiction crowd. But fiction writers, there are emerging markets out there where, certain African nations, for example, where they skipped the computer revolution, went straight to mobile technology. They have, people, they're starting small businesses thanks to like microfinancing and that sort of thing.
Yeah.
There's a hunger for knowledge and a hunger for stories. So when you can get your books to that market, and now they have disposable income, you can start picking up these pockets that are out there.
So
Amazon doesn't serve those.
So what you're saying, just hopefully I got this right, is there's a lot of these smaller, they're obviously smaller markets, but there's a hunger right now where they're just, right? They're just, there's a huge need for this information.
Right.
So
you still have to market to these people.
Right.
You can't put it out there and hope that they find it.
Right.
But if you're comfortable with marketing, and you should be, I mean, you should become comfortable with marketing, you can start tapping into these new markets as they emerge.
Oh, that is interesting.
Your original question was essentially how does Draft Digital differentiate itself?
Right.
There are a couple of things. One, the biggest is this. The other one isn't going to be that much of a surprise, but the biggest is this one. We have, for the past year, every 2 weeks we've released some new innovation. Okay, the ebook templates and the automated print layout and a whole bunch of other stuff that we've released over the past year. All that has come out of a sort of a dedicated growth cycle. Like we've decided we're gonna do this every 2 weeks. We're gonna have something. Every 2 weeks we're gonna release something, add something new that benefits our authors. That is sort of at the heart of what we are. We want to create as many resources as we can, so that authors can just stop worrying about everything else and worry about the one thing that they really care about, which is the writing.
Right.
We're working toward a sort of paradigm where the author can just do the writing. That's what our eventual goal. Somehow, some way, we want to create an atmosphere where that author gets to sit down and do their writing, and everything else is taken care of for them at the press of a button. We're getting closer and closer to that all the time. That leads to the second differentiator for us, and it's one of these that you hear people say all the time. I hear people talk about this all the time. Ours is one of the few companies that I know that truly means this.
Yeah.
We have this amazing author support system, right?
Okay.
When you are a Draft Digital author, if you have a problem with anything, you reach out to us, a real live breathing human being who sits in an office in Oklahoma City, Oklahoma, will answer your email or answer your phone call, and they will find a way to help you. And that is something that no one else can really say. I mean, they have their customer support, they have, they're outsourcing, they might pay attention to certain types of problems, but they're not out there actively doing what we're doing. I promise you.
That is interesting.
On keyboards or anywhere else,
oh God.
ask the question, who has the best customer service? That's the number one thing we get called on
really?
all the time. So that's our biggest differentiator, honestly. That and our innovation, we're constantly building new tools. And we're always making it free. We never want to charge the author directly if we can avoid it.
Love it. Love it.
So far, we've avoided it.
That's great. Hey, okay. What about picture books? Let's talk about that, because that's personally speaking, students in my course, a lot of them have some picture books or. So how does that work in terms of formatting and your platform? Is there anything they should know?
It does add some complexity. The picture books ebook format is not the greatest when it comes to that sort of thing.
Right.
It's not necessarily a limitation of Draft Digital. It's a limitation of the environment.
Yeah.
And so we are working on how can we make that better and easier. There are some sort of best practices and standards that you can use that will help you.
Right.
If you are doing a pictured book, it might be useful to go ahead and just embed your text in the image, for example.
I've realized that, yes.
Yeah, I mean, it's because aligning images and text is tricky when you have an environment that can resize itself.
Right.
And there's no real way to anchor that text and that image together.
Yeah, no, it's.
It's just, and it can get all over the place. So if you're going to Apple, they have some tools that are pretty useful. And I forget the name of that app is completely blowing right out of my brain right now.
No worries.
Apple has an app.
Apple has an app?
Ebooks.
Yeah.
And we are working on some solutions for that. But if you reach out to our support team, if you have questions about it, if you're concerned about it, I mean, the first thing you could do is just try running it through our automated ebook conversion.
and see what happens.
What you get.
Yeah.
Just play with it, because then you'll also know where things need a little tweak.
Right.
And if it can't be tweaked through the automated service, we help out with that. I mean, we're not above occasionally dipping into your file and fixing something if we know what's wrong. We'd like to avoid that, of course, but
right. But
we're here to help. I mean, that's what we're here for. So.
But you're there to really, and that goes back to the customer service you said being the differentiating factor. Yeah. That's great to hear, because we know Amazon provides great customer experience, but when you're selling on Amazon,
yeah.
That's where they can make up a lot of ground, right? So that's awesome. Hey, can we talk about how to get started with Draft to Digital? Like, can you walk us through what's the process like from creating the account to getting your first book published and there? What's that process like?
All right. The first thing I want to do is tell you personally that we have a program called Refer a Friend.
Oh, okay. It's probably something I should know.
Set this up, and people join Draft Digital through your unique URL, which you're going to.
I'll have a link in the description. Yeah.
put in the links below.
Yeah.
Then, and what this will do, viewer and listener, is whenever you click on that link, you, sir, will get a 10% cut of Draft to Digital's royalty on every book that author sells. So that author doesn't lose any money.
Draft to Digital gets 90% versus the 100. Right. Makes sense, yeah.
Create this URL. Create your unique URL.
Okay.
And people click on it. What happens is you'll get 10% of Draft to Digital's cut of their royalty on every book they sell for a total of a year. So then it becomes everyone's best interest for you to help market that person's book, for us to help if we can. And we have some merchandising stuff we can do. So
that's awesome.
Throw that out there, because as we go into the rest of this part, we're going to say, click on your link,
please,
and right from the notes below there, and go sign up for an account. And it is this simple. You go and you sign up, and you're going to enter. If you're already on Amazon, you can actually cut and paste your stuff from your Amazon account.
Super easy then.
Very simple. But you can go enter your author bio. You want to create a publisher bio, you can. You can use a different publisher name. You can use pen names. You'll never have any mix-ups or crossovers. There's literally physically no way for our system to accidentally out you on a pen name.
Can I ask a quick question on that? Because literally, I just did my first book with Ingram Sparks. I set up the account using my name, and then I'm going onto my Amazon page, and I read my name on one of my books. I'm like, whoa, what? I call CreateSpace. They're like, no, it's published with somebody else. And I had to rename my entire account as a dummy, I just renamed it. And I was like, they should have, come on. I was kind of disappointed with that.
Dumb.
Yeah, I was kind of disappointed with that.
Yeah, I would be disappointed with that as well. It just shows you how careful you have to be.
Yeah.
Right? With Draft to Digital, because you can actually add contributors, so you can have multiple authors on a book, you can have, you can create multiple publishers, and you only use one publisher per book, but you can have, if you are publishing someone else, you've got a publisher for your nonfiction, a publisher for your fiction, you can have all that set up. This all makes everything sound very complicated. It's really a bunch of cut and paste. Maybe you're going to type it on the fly.
Right.
You'll enter your tax information in case you get paid. You don't have to, actually. You can go through the tax interview or not, but if you don't go through it, we can't pay you. So if you're just using us for conversion, you don't have to worry about any of that. Okay. By the way, every free tool is yours to use. As long as you have an account with us, it's yours to use.
Right.
No obligation. You don't have to distribute through us at all. The process is essentially go in, set up your account. Once that's set up, you can upload your book. And if you've got that information already there, the book's description, the bisect categories that you want to choose, the keywords you want to use, if you've got all that information sort of sitting in a note that you can cut and paste from on your desktop or something. I have timed this. You can actually go from uploading your book and your cover and all that information to being able to hit publish in about 30 seconds or less. Sometimes as little as 10 seconds.
That is awesome.
I have no idea.
Wow,
why it
Kevin.
takes 15 minutes to convert an ebook on Amazon's Kindle service. I have no idea.
Wow.
I don't know. I will tell you this. We strip out all the junk code from Microsoft Word, because I don't know how much you know about Word, but there's a bunch of garbage behind the scenes that actually adds a lot of weight to your file. It adds to the file size. And it can actually cause issues with some e-readers. So we actually strip all that stuff out. You could really, honestly, my professional opinion here, I mean, I've been in the business for decades. It is the very best ebook conversion I have ever encountered, ever. Nothing I've ever used has ever come close to it. It used to be fairly simple, but now you can actually make it quite beautiful with these templates. So you get the best of every world with it now. But yeah, literally, I mean, depending on how much time you want to spend picking your ebook template, I mean, you can get this done in just a minute or two at the most. I mean, and that's with being picky.
This is really starting to seem like a no-brainer. Now,
I think so, but I mean, there are completely valid reasons why you might choose to stay exclusive to Amazon too. So you just have to look at your author strategy.
Right.
What's the strategy for your business? If you are still building your platform, you've only got one book, you've only got a limited audience, a limited mailing list. You don't have any way to market yourself. Your overhead has to remain really low. I mean, there are all kinds of reasons why exclusivity might be the right answer for you. On the other hand, no one really wanted to get into this business to just sell their book or have their book available for one narrow audience.
Right.
Just depends on your strategy.
What let's talk about some of marketing strategies that you really like. You was it 40 books you've written?
40 books.
40 books.
I have more than 40 books. It's hard for me to put an exact number on it.
I could imagine.
I've got some that are in various stages of edit.
Okay, well, let's talk about what are some of the marketing strategies you think are like a must do when you're new, you're trying to build your base, you're just trying to get your word out. What are some things that have really worked for you?
I'm going to give you those standard answers that everybody gives you, at least to start. So you need a mailing list.
Okay.
If you don't, when I first started this business, I kept asking people, well, how do I build the mailing list? How do I approach these people? I remember sitting in on a webinar, like a 45-minute to an hour-long webinar, and the guy's talking about using Facebook to build your mailing list, but he never once said, no, he was talking about building a mailing list. He says, you need a mailing list, but he never said how to actually do it out of an hour. I emailed him after the fact, asked him that question point blank, and he says, well, use Facebook. But he didn't tell me how to use Facebook. So other than going on Facebook and begging people to join my list, I had no clue. Fortunately, things have changed quite a bit. There are ways to do this now. Some best practices you might want to look at. There's what's called a funnel, a marketing funnel.
Yep.
And the idea here is you want to start with a wide offer. You want to go out and cast the net. And what you're trying to do is get people into this funnel, and you want to nurture those leads until they become paying customers. Right. So from wide to narrow, the paying customer is the narrow.
Yep.
That's the short version of this, right? For authors, the thing that's been working for the longest time is to offer like a free book, get them into the funnel, do an automated email sequence, which there's all kinds of resources to learn how to do this. But you want to continuously touch base with your audience on this list, and instead of constantly pinging them saying, buy my book, you want to establish a relationship with them.
Right. Give them some value.
Right. So, but the freebie at the top of the funnel has started to lose some of its effectiveness. what I recommend these days is you can still do a freebie. Have something completely unique to your list, though. So a short story or a novella tied to your main series, for example, if you're a fiction writer. If you're a nonfiction writer, a PDF or as an ebook that is, additional content, but is just short. Something you could generate over a weekend. Okay.
Right.
But it's unique to that list. It's not available. You do not make it available anywhere else. In other words, if you write a whole book, you can. If you write a whole book and offer that for free, that book never touches Amazon, never touches Draft Digital. It stays exclusively on your site as a freebie.
As a freebie.
You can download.
That's interesting.
And I would actually rotate that out once a year. Every year, take that book, put it available for sale,
and do something else.
Ask people who got it for free to go review it.
That's
and then create a whole new book and start again.
That's a really good idea right there. I like that.
I'm actually, and that's free. You can have that free. I'm actually about to try something. Once I'm done with conference season,
Yeah.
I'm traveling for months now.
Yeah.
I'm actually going to start writing short stories that are set in my thriller universe, my Dan Kotler universe. A short story a month. Every month, I give that short story, the new one, to everyone on my list for 30 days, or for the course of the next month. It's available as the freebie for when people sign up to the list. And then the next month, I take it down and I put up a new short story.
Oh, wow.
Same process. Everyone that already on the list gets it. Everyone who signs up to the list gets it. But as time goes by, there are going to be people who did not get those first two books, right?
Right.
The first.
The first couple. So they're
Eventually, you're right. They're only getting the book. Eventually, it's going to come down to you're only getting the book you signed up for. At the end of a year, I'm going to bundle all those books, put it at a special price, pre-order price, advertise it to my list to say, if you missed any of them, or if you just want to have them all in a collected volume, it's available for pre-order for 99 cents, $1.99, whatever I deem appropriate. And on such and such date, probably February 1st, it's going to shoot up to $9.99.
Right.
And then now I've got another book for sale, which adds to my credibility. Right.
Yep.
The more books we have, the more attractive we become to potential readers.
Right.
They see that we're in it for the long haul.
Yes.
Right? It's tied to my genre. It's additional stories that people who aren't on my list but are readers can pick up and read.
Yep.
If they enjoy my thrillers, they're going to enjoy the short stories. You've got certain benefits here. So that's a strategy that I would employ if and I am going to employ that particular strategy. But just the idea of keeping that content fresh, because a lot of times people create that top of funnel offer and then they just leave that forever, which makes it less attractive over time, right?
I'm guilty of that. In one of my main niches, I have an offer that's been there for 8 months. 8 months. That's interesting. What would you put on the value of a customer for you? Like, if you could put $1, because I recently just ran some Facebook ads, and I'm curious to see what you value having a reader join your list at.
Well, you're talking about essentially cost per lead.
Yeah,
right?
essentially.
And you want to determine your cost per lead. This is fancy marketing jargon. I don't know what consistency of your audience is really, but
no worries.
You're talking cost per lead. You're essentially going to use that to determine the value or the ROI for your ads.
Yes.
Right. Or whatever your marketing spend happens to be. So if you're going to do Facebook ads, which are pretty effective, they're kind of losing some of their potency, but they're still there. They're still in how much should you pay to get a lead, and how much is that lead going to be worth to you? I'd say, I try to keep my cost per lead on the ads themselves down below like 30 cents. I don't want to pay any more than that if I can help it. But the value of the reader is actually much greater.
Right.
The value of the reader could actually be, this sounds petty because the units are priced this way. But let's just say $2 to $4.
Right.
depending on the book, right?
Yep.
Meaning, I would spend up to $2 to $4 to get that customer to buy my $4 to $10 book.
Right.
Right. So that's a 50%, 50% ROI, or 100% actually, if you think about it.
Right. Yeah.
Don't get me on math. Let's stay away from
Okay, we'll keep it basic. But it may.
But
yeah.
essentially, I want to try to double what I'm getting to paying to get that customer. I want my ROI to be twice that, if I can.
Yeah.
So that's how I approach it.
No, that's good. And one thing that I've been focusing a lot more on is fiction, building your email list, and I think that has come a lot. That's gone a lot further than it has for nonfiction. I think nonfiction publishers and authors are really still doing catch up. When they don't have a base. You want to?
I agree with you, but I'm gonna say something, because you are what Stephen Covey would call a producer. Right?
Okay. Yeah.
Meaning you don't just have your books, but you have this YouTube channel, for example.
Right.
You also have a body of experience that you bring to the table.
Mm-hmm.
For someone like you, what I would say is you've got an opportunity here to use one set of media to promote another, right?
True.
Just sit down once a month for 15 minutes and take some of the things you've learned from interviews or whatever and consolidate them into one 15-minute video that is a summary of, here's what I learned. Call it something quirky and clever,
Right.
A 15-minute roundup or whatever.
Right.
My 15-minute professional roundup or something, right? Make that available as your top of funnel, and then you can replace that every month, and it's going to take you an hour at most.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. And see, I've been trying to find alternate ways. That's why I was experimenting with the Facebook ads, because I've been trying to find alternate ways of building that initial email list. And I was paying about $1 a lead for them on Facebook,
Which is high. That's pretty high.
It is high. It is high.
It's high depending on what your ROI is.
Right. Yeah, exactly. And that's the thing. And because the majority of my books are sold are paperbacks, I was okay with experimenting. I knew I was probably going to end up paying a little bit more in some ways as I figure out different ways. And
with paperbacks,
Yep.
your margin tends to be a lot slimmer, right?
Well, that's the thing. I've recently just moved my books onto my own Shopify store, and on a number of them, my profits have doubled, and I've been able to lower the price because Amazon's no longer taking such a cut.
Let me tell you something I just heard this past week.
Yeah.
I'm not even going to reveal who told me.
All right.
Although I would love to in order to promote his book, but there is an author. I helped. I edited his book.
Yeah.
I helped promote it. He priced his book, it's paperback, and Amazon did its whole adjustment.
Yeah.
So he priced his book. I think it was like $10.99 or something,
right.
$12.99 or something, and they priced it down to like $8.99.
Yeah.
Okay, and he actually worked out that once he buys the book at full retail, their full retail,
$8.99. Yeah.
But when he gets his royalty, he'll only pay $2 per book. Okay.
Yep.
So his cost per volume goes from paying nearly $4 per book to only paying $2 per book. So because if he gets his author discount, right?
Yeah.
If he buys the discounted version, he has to pay nearly $4 per volume, but he's only having to pay $2 per volume once he gets the royalty, right? So he actually is paying less for each volume of the book.
Is he buying it through? Well, I guess he's not buying it through CreateSpace then. He must be buying it through Amazon.
No, see, initially he would buy it through CreateSpace, and it was going to cost him nearly $4 per unit.
Okay.
Okay.
Yeah.
But Amazon is artificially lowering his price.
So did that lower the back end as well?
Basically losing money on that deal.
That's interesting. I haven't seen them lower the back end.
Right.
Right.
So because they lowered it, he's taking advantage of it. He's buying it at full price, paying the $8, right? $8 or $9.
Okay.
But when he gets his royalty after the 60 days goes,
Yeah.
he'll have only paid $2 per book.
I see what you're saying. Oh, I see what
Because
you're
it
saying.
sells the book at conventions for,
That's,
full price.
I understand what you're saying. That's funny. That's yeah, no, they're a little strange when it comes to that, because when they do that, you're still paid full royalties off your full retail price.
That's what he was saying.
Right.
He gets the full royalty on his cover price.
And yeah, and I know there is, I've spoken to some people, there's a limit to where they will, one person kept raising the price, and it got to the point where Amazon was taking, what was it? The customer was buying the book for $13, and Amazon was paying, I'll just say, a lot more than $13 to this guy for the royalties. But then they ended up saying, hey, wait a minute, there was some weird pricing, we're keeping all this money, we'll pay you this. But
which is, Amazon's going to do what Amazon's going to do.
Totally, right? But
until they do.
Right, that's the thing. It's just, hey, but hey, that's all good. That's all good.
The whole point here then is to someone paying attention. There are all kinds of opportunities out there.
Yes.
When it comes to wide distribution, which is what we're on about.
Yep.
You get to expand the market that you're reaching to.
Right.
We have a tool called Universal Book Links.
Okay.
This is a single link that you can customize to be to say pretty much anything you want.
Yeah.
It'll be books to read / something. Like I have a book 30-day author. If you do bookstoread.com / 30-day, it'll take you to that book, right? It will take you to that book everywhere that book is sold online. So because I distribute wide, the reader sees that link, and it's an evergreen link. You can put this on printed materials if you want. You never have to worry about it expiring or any of that. You can always go and rescan. You'll find everywhere your book is sold online. You drop in basically the URL of any given page where your book is sold, Amazon or Barnes & Noble or whatever. The service goes out and scans every known bookstore. And if it finds matching metadata, it includes that in your links. You can add your affiliate codes from, your associate ID from Amazon, your affiliate codes from Barnes & Noble. All that stuff can be added automatically, and it'll give you a nice, clean URL that you can use anywhere, in email, social media, or whatever. You never have to worry about updating it. So it's incredible how much time this saves.
Yeah.
And how much space it saves. But then the reader clicks on it. They're first offered a choice of, where do you prefer to shop? And if they prefer Amazon, they click Amazon, and they can make that their default store. So the next time they click on a Universal Book link from any author, you or anyone else, it'll just take them straight to that product page on Amazon.
Wow.
And then if they buy, because you have your Amazon associate ID in there, you'll get that additional revenue.
Yeah.
So it's a no-brainer tool, and it just makes it's incredible how easy it makes things.
Man. And this is one of the services on Drafted.
One of the free services on Drafted Digital. As soon as you upload a book, it'll create that link for you. But you can go to bookstoread.com and create your own if you want. It doesn't even have to be your book. You can actually drop in a URL for anyone's books. Really? And do the same thing. Right. Man. So if you do reviews, or if you have like a resources page or something like that, and you want to promote, you want to make a few extra bucks and you want to promote a book in your show or something along those lines, give out a nice, clean looking URL, and you never have to worry about it.
This is awesome. This is great. Perfect. Well, hey, let's wrap things up here, where I think we're approaching about the hour mark. But this has been phenomenal. I did not know there was so much more going on with Drafted Digital other than
we've only scratched the surface.
Really? Wow. Well, what I'll probably do then, Kevin, is I'm gonna look at getting a couple of my books up on Drafted Digital, and see how the results go, and market them, and see if I can get some of those smaller pockets around the world that you were saying can be so profitable based on where my niche is.
Yeah, it's not gonna just happen. You're gonna have to.
You got to work for it. Yeah.
But yeah, get creative. You could totally do it.
No, I like that. But I'm really interested in finding out and trying out some of these additional services that Draft2Digital offers as well. So thank you so much for enlightening us all on this. And hey, if anyone wants to find out about some of your thriller books, I guess I'll leave a link in the description for those as well.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah, you can find my books on my website, kevintumlinson.com. If you do kevintumlinson.com/books, it'll take you straight to the books page, where you can, all my thrillers are there. Everything's there.
Everything's there. Perfect.
Yeah. You can even get a free book if you, right now, you can get a free book if you sign up to my mailing list.
What book are you giving away right now?
Story.
What book are you giving away right now? What is it?
Actually, the very first of my thrillers, The Quelo Medallion. It's an award-winning, best-selling book, and it's currently it's available. I pulled all these off of wide distribution, went exclusive while I build the platform.
Right.
But I'm getting pretty close to not needing that anymore. So
nice.
I'm going to probably replace that book with a short story, so hopefully you get to it before I do that.
All right. All right. That's awesome, man. Kevin, thank you so much for taking some time with us. And as always, everyone, this has been Ask a Pro. Make sure you hit the bell notification and subscribe to the channel so you never miss another interview like this. Speak to y'all soon.